Hey guys, Bruce here with you. Black Desert Online is a Korean MMO, recently released in North America, created by Pearl Abyss and published by Dome. Now, I need to give you a little personal backstory on this game because I think it plays into what I'm going to talk about. When Archage released, I had way too much hope and way too much hype, which, when the game turned out lackluster, I was really disappointed, and it caused me to be very leery about getting too hyped for games. So, when BDO came to my attention, I read a lot on it, I watched a few videos, watched Bike Man stream it a few times, but tended to avoid any of the major hype-causing factors. Might make me a goof, but, I do what works for me. So, when it came time, I plopped down my $60 for the purchase price a few days before launch, and called it good. Now, when I play an MMO normally, and I understand this is a long setup, but bear with me, I usually have several partners in crime. A lot of times it's the guy that appears in a lot of my videos, Agent K. And when I'm playing with any of those people, we tend to like to split up crafting, split up a lot of the side work so that we can focus on the stuff we enjoy. And I know a lot of other people do similar things. It's common in MMO games. To me, it's a fine example of making games more social and encouraging players to share and trade. Does it always work? Probably not. But it's a nice feature to have. It's a good opportunity for people to try things. And I always kind of thought that was the point of an MMO. I mean, it's massive multiplayer online, for fuck's sake. But apparently the powers that be behind this game didn't see it that way. Because within the first 2 hours of playing, and I was playing with Agent K, we realized that the only thing we could trade was food and health potions. To say this really frustrated me is an understatement. So I did some digging. I went into forums, I went into Reddit, a place I try to avoid. And I have to say that this is where not following the hype, not doing enough research bit me in the ass, because it took me about 5 minutes to understand the backwards thinking behind these restrictions. Now, up front, I think it's backwards thinking. I'm starting to wonder if I'm not in a minority on that. From what I was able to learn, the game publishers are putting forth the notion that these restrictions are in place to stop gold sellers and gold spammers and account spammers, and I've also heard that it's to keep the game's economy healthy and strong, no pay to win. Of course, there are tons of players who think this is the case and scream loudly on forums. I will get to the pay to win idiots specifically a little later in this, but let's talk about the publisher side of things. I get that keeping gold spammers out of the game is an important objective. I don't like seeing them. Other friends of mine, it drives them nuts to the point where they won't play the game. I really think you're going at it wrong by being so restrictive with your player base. That's never going to solve the issue. Even with a game like Black Desert Online, which is buy to play, you're still seeing gold spammers. I saw it personally, and I heard about it from other players, and also there's the illegal selling accounts. Let's all stop pretending that that doesn't happen. It's like the worst kept secret in MMO gaming. So, being the skeptical cynic and dickhead that I am, it started to make me wonder what other reasons the developers and publishers would have for making this player trading so restrictive. Which does lead us right to the in-game economy. Normally I would ignore the in-game economy as a tie into these restrictions, but as you play Black Desert Online, you start to get lots of messages when you're at the NPC vendors telling you to, be sure to try and sell this on the marketplace. I mean, if it's green level stuff, blue level stuff, anything that's not just labeled as junk, they keep putting up this nasty little message that you can't get to go away to sell it at the auction house. And now nobody's going to buy it, but it really makes you suspicious that the player restrictions and the auction house are somehow connected. If that is true, it's a horrid reason for the restrictions, because I can tell you in the time that I've played it, I just basically dumped my stuff on an NPC and moved on about my day. I just don't get it. Not to mention the fact that the notion of a strong in-game economy as a key to a healthy game has always been massively overstated, or the reasons behind what makes a strong economy have been massively overstated, and there's a lot of just plain-ass bullshit in it. Because a great example of a game that is doing well is Guild Wars 2. And in that game, you can trade everything. Crafting mats, crafted items, weapons, anything not soul or account bound. And guess what? Kiddies who think it ruins the economy and ruins the auction house. I do plenty of auction house trading in there and always make a decent amount of coin. Maybe it's not enough for the uber hardcore capitalists out there, but I have never had any issue with running out of cash when playing Guild Wars 2. And funnily enough, due to the way chats work in Guild Wars 2, I rarely ever see gold spammers. And, you play another game like WoW, there's a lot of GMs. So, it makes you wonder why some MMOs can keep all this crap out, and why others can't and have to resort to these ridiculous tactics of restricting player trading. Now, the Guild Wars 2 example of the way chats are configured, that kind of might play into it a little bit. And to Black Desert's credit, you have to spend energy points, and I'm not going to go into long, involved detail about where you get those, to chat in Global, so that kind of helps. But, it's really, to me, down to the game instituting a zero tolerance policy. Hire lots of staff. I know it's going to cut into your profits, but hey, this game is buy to play. So not only should you be able to hire staff, hire game masters, but you start banning and you don't stop banning, only the most ardent gold sellers are going to keep buying accounts, and they'll probably just buy them illegally. Now, I don't know for sure if BO is banning. I didn't check into that, but it sure doesn't seem like it. And it just brings up the question, how do some games manage this so well without hammering on players trying to play the right way and others don't? There just seems to be something missing on one hand, but on the other hand, this just really feels like a sad attempt at forcing players to use the auction house, forcing players to just do things in a certain manner. And to me, that's not how an MMO should be. An MMO and video games in general should give you tons of options, to give you tons of flexibility to do things the way you want to do, to be able to play with your friends, to be able to trade with your friends. It's really taken the wind out of my sails for Black Desert Online. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop playing it, but it just isn't top priority for me. And now, finally, for the pay-to-win folks, who also seem to crop up in a lot of these Black Desert Online forum threads I see, and who scream that they're so happy for these restrictions because pay-to-win won't happen. I mean, do I really need to go over the pay-to-win bullshit again? I yammer on about it all the time on WonderPod. And I'm sure that my friend trading me a raft to fish off of in Black Desert Online is going to cause a massive black hole-like imbalance in the PvP e-penis festival of fun. I babble about this constantly. Because you have top-notch gear and weapons doesn't automatically mean you have the skills to use them worth a damn. Or that you're going to somehow fly up the PvP rankings. We really don't give enough credit for skill as gamers, and it's pathetic. But that's another topic for a whole another day. What I think all this baying about pay to win and all this crap by gamers in the forums and on Reddit and other places like that really means is they have an ulterior motive. It might be a little bit conspiracy theorist, but it seems to me like something along the lines of the reason they're upset is because they want to be the one to grind the game 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to get all the top level fancy items so they can sell them to you on the auction house. Not your buddy who put the time in giving them to you because you're friends or because you did something for him. And, that's just one example, but you never convinced me that a lot of this pay-to-win screaming isn't rooted in self-interest. When they haven't the balls to state. And quite honestly, I'd be fine with the self-interest if they had the balls to just fucking say it. Bottom line, with Black Desert Online, it's another MMO that has so much depth and so much potential, and yet it's been ruined for me, and I would suspect other players, by these restrictions. Restrictions that are never going to do what they intended. You know. Sadly, I don't see much outrage over this. Who knows? We'll see what happens when I post this video, but the lack of outrage tells me that it's just going to show up in other games. I guess for me, it's a good thing that Skyrim and Fallout 4 and Arma 3 have so many mods. Will keep me entertained long after these supposed MMOs that are solo experiences have become faded memories. Knock it off my lawn.